Pokémon. It is undeniably one of my favorite franchises of all time, but that doesn't mean that it is perfect. While being a very addicting and fun game, it does need some obvious fixes that would make it even better. And with hardware power becoming better and better, I don't see how these features couldn't be implemented. Pokémon Sun and Moon will be the new Pokémon games, so I hope that they will improve the mechanics we all know and love. Additionally, I might add that today is my birthday. That's right, I am turning 22 today, and so I decided to make a countdown for my birthday, again, to show you viewers what I want for the future of Pokémon. You could view this countdown as a sort of birthday wish. And because I am 22 years old, I will list my top 22 wishes for the Pokémon Sun and Moon games. Please note that this is solely my opinion and not yours, so if you have some wishes or hopes that I did not list on this countdown, feel free to leave a comment. Furthermore, for this countdown, I don't really have rules for it because we don't need any. But just so that you guys know it, this list is about the main games of Pokémon only, so no anime, spin-off or trading card game related things. So, let's not waste any time and start off with what I wish for Pokémon games to implement in their future. Enjoy! Let's start things off with a minor entry that I would like to see being implemented. I am the kind of person who loves consistency in video games, be it mechanical or lore related consistency. That is why the way Eevee evolves has always bugged me. Here's my wish: evolution consistency. Make Leafeon obtainable through a Leaf Stone, make Glaceon available through a Dawn Stone, Umbreon through a Moonstone, Espeon through a Sunstone, and Sylveon through a Shiny Stone. No, for this evolution you need to level up in proximity to this stone, and for this one you need Pokemon Ami and blah blah blah. Just change it this way so it becomes easy, convenient and consistent. This also evades future problems. Remember how in Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red that you couldn't evolve Eevee into Espeon or Umbreon because these games had no day and night cycle? Or how Leafeon and Glaceon were unobtainable in Heart Gold Soul Silver because the Moss Rock and the Ice Rock were missing? What if Pokemon Ami ceases to exist in the future game? Just implement this proposed system. I know that this would form some kind of plot hole because this did not work in past games, but come on. They have changed typing before, retcons have been done in the past, so why not here? Also, while you're at it, change that gender ratio, it makes no sense. Seasons were a nice addition to the Pokemon games, and they were introduced in Generation 5. Can we have them back, please? And better this time? You could also make some cities or places where there's the same season throughout the whole year, so you don't have to wait for a certain season to catch a certain Pokemon. Just like Animal Crossing New Leaf did, with the Southern Island, where you can catch summer-only species during the whole year. Seasons also add immersion to the game, and it gives it more atmosphere. It would definitely benefit future Pokemon games. The user interface in Pokemon wasn't really the best out there. Oh, okay, so I can teach this Pokemon this exclusive move? Ah, shoot, I don't have this Pokemon at my disposal right now. Fly back to a Pokemon Center, go to the box, search. No, it doesn't have to be this time-wasting way. Just improve the user interface. Make it so that it is easy to use, quick and intelligently planned. Put in shortcuts. Make the menus easy to comprehend and practical. Make it possible to access your boxes at any given time. This way, searching for a very specific Pokemon in your boxes won't be a tedious task anymore. Or you don't have to run there to get this and do that, and yeah, you get the idea. Ever wondered how the game determines whether or not a Pokémon will be caught? Well, the Pokéball mechanics in-game are determined through mathematical calculations, but I would wish for some improvements here. First off, why can't I just throw a Pokéball in a horde battle? If one of them is a shiny and the other kills it because of an attack that hits partners, that's a horrible scenario, I don't even want to think about it. Additionally, maybe we could use new Pokeballs, bring back Kurt's Pokeballs, or maybe even make existing Pokeballs better. Here are some of my ideas. The heal ball should have a higher catch rate when the health is high, or it should just flat out ignore the factor of health when the game calculates the odds of catching. The love ball should increase the catch rate when a wild Pokemon has the opposite gender, regardless of species. The Premier Ball should have a modifier of 2.5, or it should have a higher catch rate when a wild Pokemon is legendary. The Moon Ball should have a higher catch rate for Fairy and Dark types. Another feature I really would like to see return is the sticker run. It was fun putting stickers on Pokeballs back in Generation 4, so why not introduce it again? This time though with being able to put these Pokemon in a box though. That was a bit tedious. You know what else was a nice feature? Pokémon following you, so why haven't we seen that return? I think that a lot of people will agree with me on this. Seeing your Pokémon follow you made the game more immersive for me, and it strengthens the bond between you and your Pokémon. Sometimes it's just the small things in life that add to the good feeling. We need this back in our games. Okay, this wish is kind of a big one. I have been involved in the competitive Pokémon scene for a long time now. I have played the games since they first came out. When I look at the metagame now, I just keep getting the feeling that we need yet another brand new type. Let's be honest here, the Fairy type was a needed type. It got introduced to nerf the Dragon type, and that's fair enough. The problem, however, is the fact that it simply took its place. Fairy is now the new dragon. Great! Now we went from a metagame that had an over-centralizing type to a metagame that has an over-centralizing type. Improvement? Now, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the Fairy type. For those who have watched my top 18 Pokemon types know that I really like it. However, we need a type that nerfs the Fairy type, while simultaneously buffing some types that are not that great, like the Ice type. There are a lot of ideas from fans for a new type, and if I could choose one, I would choose Cyber type, because it makes the most sense and it is unique. It also created some amazing looking fan art. Pokémon is about friendship, about bonding. So for me, it is really sad that that bonding part kind of fell short within the games. I wish that friendship would do more. If friendship would do more than just contribute to the base power of return or frustration, that would be neat. Pokémon and me already went in a good direction, but I would like to see more or other effects such as reduced crit attacks or something else. I don't really care, as long as it's more beneficial than it is now. If you're into competitive battling, you know how important breeding is. You'll be doing it for hours, so it would be a nice move to update the breeding mechanics. First off, make an egg pouch. I am really fed up with the fact that you have to go to the box to put away an egg, or more if your party is full and it takes away a lot of time, and so on. The egg pouch would be like a second party slot, but it would only be there so you can ride your bicycle and hatch them. If the Pokemon hatches, it will be sent to a box. Furthermore, we need more egg groups. Maybe let Pokemon have 3 or 4 egg groups instead of 2, so that Pokémon can inherit even more egg moves for competitive play. Moreover, can't Pokémon just straight out pass all of their IVs to the child if it holds Destiny Knot, please? I know that 5 is good, but still, just make it 6 to make things quicker. Lastly, just make it that Nidorina and Nidoqueen are able to breed. It makes zero sense that they can't breed. Video games are a favorite pastime of mine, but there's something present in many that I just can't stand. Critical hits. Pokémon has far too much crit hacks for my taste, so I wish for the crit mechanics to be changed. This is notorious in online battles or any battle facility. In online battles, the game should give you the option to turn random crits off. This way, only controlled crits are happening online. Also, crits should not ignore defense and special defense boosts. Who the heck came up with this idea? That's really unfair, frustrating, and it makes no sense. Oh, and the battle facilities. Be it Battle Maison or something else, just stop with that unfair rubber band AI crud. If I had a bug for every time I lost there, because of some stupid unnecessary crit, I would make Bill Gates look like a homeless person. Be fair for once. Honestly, I never really liked the original Safari, even as a kid in Red, Blue and Yellow. It was so annoying that you couldn't weaken them, and they would just run away most of the time. Heck, if someone would throw rocks at me, I would probably do the same thing. The kind of Safari I would like to see return is the Friend Safari. The Friend Safari was a very welcome addition in X and Y, but then it suddenly vanished in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for some reason. Especially the fact that you could easily catch Pokémon with 1 IV instead of 31, and the possibility of it having a hidden ability was so handy for competitive play. I want it back, and not only in Sun and Moon, but in future installments as well. Battling humans is always better than battling CPUs, because human players know what they're doing. Thus, I wish for an improvement of online play. Let's talk about the online battling first. I think that they should put tiers in, or at least a rule set that enables you to exclude certain Pokémon, and not based on the VGC tiering system, because that one makes no sense. It's really dumb when I go online hoping for a good fight, and then there's some kid with Mega Rayquaza. It's unfair and it ruins the experience. Next, the GTS. It is seriously flawed. I don't want to see any Magikarps for Mewtwo's. It makes no sense and it's very annoying. Oh, you want an event-only Pokemon for this trash? Well, what's the point if you can't trade that Pokemon anyway? What's that? You're asking for a level 1 Reshiram? But that isn't even legal within the game. Why are these options available in the first place? Please change this, Game Freak. With the introduction of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the secret bases returned. They were really fun, but this time I wish that they would stay in Sun and Moon, and even better. I would really like to see more room, more items, and more possibilities to secret bases. Kind of like an Animal Crossing-ish side to Pokemon. Who agrees with me? If there's something I dislike about the Pokemon games, then it's unoriginal type combinations. We have tons of bug flying or normal flying Pokemon. Do we really need more of those? I wish for some creative new Pokemon combinations for Sun and Moon. I always wanted a water-fire type, and we had to wait until Generation 6 to finally get one. What about Fire-Ice? Or Psychic-Electric? Normal Ghost would also be nice to see. I was happy that X and Y offered customizable trainers, but then I was let down that they dropped the feature in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I want it back, and this time better. The customization options were still very bare bones in X and Y. For Sun and Moon, I want them to go all out. More facial customizations, being able to change your ethnicity, your age, the length of your hair, and even more. Is that too much to ask? If a game has good post-game, then I am immediately hooked. I love post-game content, but for the next installment, I wish for a better post-game experience. For one, you could bring the Battle Frontier or something like that back. Pokémon Emerald did it right. It still let you feel like you had to achieve something after the Elite Four. But this time with less hacks, please. This entry is a bit hard to explain, but I will try my best. I wish that HMs will be made into skills. Okay, bear with me here. I don't want HMs to disappear completely. However, I want the mechanics to be changed. I want it so that you can choose to have the HM as an actual move, part of your move pool, or not. That means if I want to teach, say, a Latias the HM move Fly, and I don't want to carry any HM Slays with me the whole time, and I don't want to waste one of her move slots, then I can simply choose to just make her learn how to use Fly without getting it as a move. In the party menu, Fly will still be listed, but no move will be sacrificed. So easy to do, so convenient. No more excuses about how you cannot forget HM moves, because if you replace the move, the ability or skill will still be present. On a side note, it would really be cool if Fly would be like the Soar ability in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Or if there was a riding HM, where you could ride on your Pokemon in the overworld, just like in X and Y. What do you think? One core concept of Pokemon is evolution, even though it is closer to metamorphosis than actual evolution, but that's beside the point. I wish for new evolutions and mega evolutions. Admit it, there are still countless of Pokemon out there that are just bad. Examples include Ariados, Delcatty and Dunsparce. I really like this Pokemon, but I can't use them because their stats just flat out suck. Stop with the fan service, Game Freak. Stop giving OP Pokemon buffs. We need evolutions for the weak. Okay, get ready, because this wish is very big. I am aware that this has the power to completely change the metagame and the competitive scene, but quite frankly, I think it is worth it. I wish for more than 4 move slots. Yes, you heard me right. I want Pokemon to be able to use 5 or 6 moves instead of 4. Besides the argument that knowing only 4 moves is kinda weird, 5 or 6 move slots would make so many Pokemon shine. There's even something called 4 move slot syndrome. This way many offensive Pokémon could have guaranteed stat moves, defensive Pokémon could be even more of a wall, and some now and new tiered Pokémon could better handle themselves against strong Pokémon. I'd say that it is worth a try. That is not the only thing I want to change about moves though. A big factor on whether or not I decide to use a move is its base power. So I wish for some attacks to be either nerfed or buffed. The metagame should become more balanced in this aspect. First off, just buff hidden power even more. A fixed base power of 60 since X and Y is still not enough. Make it have 80 instead. Also, create a physical version of hidden power. Also, buff some signature attacks. It is always nice to have a signature attack, since they are unique to the Pokémon that learns them. Luster Purge and Mistball are two examples on top of my head that could really need a buff in power. Make their base power 100 instead of 70. Also, why was Dragon Pulse nerfed? The fairy type is good enough already, just bring its base power back to 90 again. Additionally, every type should have a special and physical variation of a 90 base power attack. A high priority attack, a healing move, a 150 base power move, and a 140 base power move with a stat drop. This way, as good as every Pokémon will be more competitively viable, if vital moves like these can be learned by almost any Pokémon. But move buffs are not enough. This is also a big wish. Just buffing moves is not enough. I also wish for an overall Pokémon stat buff. I don't want every single Pokémon to be buffed, but only those who need it. Change stats of a lot of Pokémon, for example the base stat total. Don't give Pokémon who are already too OP buffs. Be it horrible stats or badly distributed stats, this extreme gap between low tier and high tier Pokémon needs to become smaller. For example, take a Pokémon with the special attack stat better than the attack stat. I'm gonna use the worst attack stat by giving it physical moves, said no one ever. Look at this. 48 points in attack are not going to do anything, so distribute them on other stats, to the Pokémon's advantage. Why are some Pokémon gifted with superb stats, and others cursed with horrible ones? Why can't every single final stage evolution have a base stat total of at least 500? Think about it. Wouldn't that be fair? The next wish would make things even better. I talked about how I would like stats to be buffed, and moves, and how having more than 4 move slots would be an interesting idea to consider. All of this would be really nice to see in the games for me, but these wishes are dependent on the one I'm going to tell you now. I wish for a move pool expansion. This is so off-putting if I decide to try out a Pokémon for competitive use, only to find out that it has a really poor move pool. It's such a wasted opportunity. Why are some Pokémon able to learn so many TMs, while others barely learn any moves outside of their own type combination? This is really unfair and it needs to stop. Just revamp the whole system. Why can't the Lati twins use Flamethrower? They're freaking dragons. Why can Wooper and Ghastly learn Ice Punch? They don't have any arms. Why can't Snorlax learn Slack Off? Also, if many Pokémon would learn good moves from almost any type, then maybe super strong Pokémon would get counters and checks that weren't there before, therefore nerfing said Pokémon. Almost every Pokémon should be able to learn either Sword Stance or Nasty Plot, depending on whether or not the attack or special attack stat is higher. Every Pokémon should be able to learn healing moves like Recover. This would give some previously ignored Pokémon their time to shine for sure. Still, there's something I wish more than anything else on this list. I will however skip the recap and go straight to my number one wish. I can't believe that this hasn't been implemented yet. It's such a simple idea. It would change the whole experience of Pokémon. Maybe the tensions between casual players and competitive players would come to an end. And it is so simple. My number one wish for Pokémon Sun and Moon: make IVs and nature changeable. Imagine how awesome Pokémon would be if IVs and nature would be changeable. I don't even really care what the lore reasoning behind it would be. I know that IVs and nature are the genes of the Pokémon and all, but it hasn't been the first time in Pokémon where changing or mutating genes was a thing. Look at Eevee. Multiple Pokédex entries state that its genes mutate when exposed to stones, for example. Look at Mewtwo. He is a clone. Just make it that you can find gene enhancer stones or something like that increase the IVs of any given stat by 1. There really is no excuse for not implementing a system like that. Let's face it, some Pokémon are born better than others. A Pokémon with all of its IV 31 will always be better. The system I am proposing here would improve the game so much. For example, it will kind of solve the cheating issue. Why hack for perfect IVs if you can simply use set stones to achieve it? Game Freak, people hack because the current system encourages them to do so. Fully preventing people from using said devices is now impossible. I am aware of that. But giving them absolutely no reason to make them use such devices in the first place is very easy to do. By the way, the chances of randomly finding a Pokémon in the wild with perfect IVs is 1 to 1,073,701,824. The chances of me winning the lottery and getting hit by a meteorite afterwards are higher than these odds. Come on! The nature should also be changeable. Because of this being possible, the Pokémon caught during your playthrough and all the Pokémon you grew fond of in the past are now competitively viable. Wouldn't that be great? No more hundreds of useless Pokémon rotting away in your boxes. It is possible to reset EVs using berries, so if you can tamper with the IVs as well, then that would make the games even more amazing to me. I know that IVs and nature make a Pokémon unique and all, but for competitive battles, I would gladly sacrifice this for making every Pokémon the best, like no one ever was. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my video. I really hope that you enjoyed this countdown. If you want to see more videos in the future, then please subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter if you like to. Want to know what my top 18 Pokémon types are? Click here to find out. Want to know about my favorite and least favorite Pokémon? Just click on these annotations. There's one wish I have left though. I wish you guys a happy day and I'll see you next time.